Hello everybody and welcome to this week's Spotfire session. Today I want to talk to you about stepping into your power as a leader. I think that that's really imperative, and it is the role of the leader to lead, and in order to feel confident as a leader we need to step into our power to do that. And I think that that's something that many of us really struggle with, and I think we struggle with it because in part we don't think that we're worthy of being a leader in the first place, that we suffer from imposter syndrome. And imposter syndrome is something that happens across the board to many, many people. Maybe everybody feels it in some way, manner, shape or form. But I think that when we step into leadership roles, that it is definitely lurking there and impacting on our capacity to lead and to feel confident to lead. Because I think that what often happens, particularly with respect to leadership roles in specific industries, is that we start out our days wanting to be a certain thing. We start out wanting to be an engineer or a chemist or a plumber or a teacher, maybe, whatever it is. But we start out, and that's the journey that we're going on. And then as we progress in our careers, we sometimes get tapped on the shoulders, or sometimes we make that decision ourselves to go into a leadership role. And we've had training in our specific skill area. We've done, been to university, or we've done an apprenticeship, or we've done something, but we've had proper training. But often what happens in leadership roles is that we don't have any training and we have to make it up as we go along. And I think that can make life pretty tricky and scary as a leader. I think every single person has the capacity to be a leader and to be a good leader. For many of us, we are parents, and the role of a parent is to be a leader. So most of us have the opportunity to experience leadership in our daily lives. When we come to workplaces, the pressures are different, but incredibly important, because now we're working with a group of people that we have different relationships with. We're trying to get them to do something for us. Kids, we can sort of ask them to do something for us. We've got capacity to set boundaries, do a whole range of different things, specifically to assist our children to do certain things. In the workplace, we don't have that. We have to come up with different ways to inspire people to come with us on this journey. So we can get really scared. I think that the imposter syndrome comes from the fear, and I think the fear comes from how powerful we can truly be. But the fear is also driven by the fear that we have to be successful. We have to meet KPIs, we have to make money, or we can't pay our staff. We have to meet requirements of a board or a funding body. We've got to meet the requirements of upper management. There's a lot of people that we have to look after as part of that process. So we've often got staff and teams that we have to look after, and they're going to have different personality types. We might have stepped into this role, we didn't choose these people, and suddenly they're people that we need to nurture and look after and have a relationship with, but we don't know them. So there's a whole range of different things that are going on at any given time. And we have to lead, and we have to be the leader, because when we are the leader, when we step into our power, then they will trust us and they will go with us on the journey. If we don't step into our power, if we are not assertive as leaders, then the rest of the team is going to pick up on that and they will get nervous. And when people are scared and nervous, then they often react, and they react by possibly attacking each other, withdrawing, attacking. A whole range of different things can go on when people don't feel like they're in a safe environment. So we as leaders need to step in to our power, we need to step up to our responsibilities, and we need to lead. We have to be powerful. So I think that one of the things that we need to think about is, how do we do that? How do we step into our power when we are so scared ourselves? And I think there are a few things that we need to do there. So I think the first one is we need to become incredibly self-aware. What do we believe? What do we believe? Often, and I know this for myself, I can be sitting with a group of people and people will say some things that I don't agree with and I don't believe in, and I will often keep the peace and say nothing. And I won't say what I believe, because what if I'm wrong? Maybe they're right. Maybe I know nothing and I just doubt myself enormously. But when you're in a leadership role, there are things that you have to believe in. You have to know the answers to the questions. So when it comes to your own business, you have to be really, really clear about what you believe in, where you're going and how you're going to get there. So you need to become self-aware. You need to be really acutely aware of what you're trying to achieve here, what you believe and how you're going to get there, because that will give you confidence. So you need to become self-aware. The next thing that you need to do as you do that is you need to be mindful of what you do when you're stressed. Because the reality is that when we're stressed and when we're scared, we're generally stressed. When we're stressed, we are giving out information to the rest of the world about what's going on for us, and we may be scaring our staff, they may be reacting to us. So we need to become self-aware about what happens when we are stressed. What do we do? Do we yell? Do we withdraw? Do we drink too much? Do we sleep too much? Do we eat too much? Do we do a whole range of different things? But what are we doing when we get really stressed? And how is that playing out with the team? How are the team responding to that? So we need to be aware of stress management, we need to be aware of what's going on for us, and we need to be aware of how that's impacting on the team. And you'll see it. If you're very stressed, you might find that your team also gets very stressed, and then that might increase gossip. It might mean that you have people taking unplanned leave. It might mean that people get sick more readily. It might mean that there's more infighting between your team. You'll see it. Once you start looking for it, you'll see it. So I want you to be mindful of what you do when you're stressed and what the team is doing. So we need to find ways to reduce stress. And then we need to communicate. We need to start speaking up. We need to be in control. And that means that we have to have some courage. And we also need to be vulnerable. That doesn't even look like vulnerable. Let's do that again. Vulnerable. When we're vulnerable, we can say, I think I made a mistake, let's go back and revisit this. Or we might say, I'm not feeling very comfortable about where we are at the moment and I'd like to change the way we're doing things. Or it might be, I have let this problem go for a very long period of time and I've decided to call it, and from now on this behaviour won't be tolerated anymore, and now we're going to do this going forward. But when you become more powerful, you will become assertive, and then the team will know that they can trust you and that they will follow your lead. They will do what's asked because they now know this is where we're going and this is how we're going to get there and this is what we believe, and we are a team and we've got really clear guidelines about how we're going to get there. This bit here is just so important. You have to start with yourself first. What's going on for you when you're super stressed? How is the fear of having to be successful impacting on you? So you need to have a think about all of those things, and then you step into your power. And I've watched leaders do this time and time again, where they've had to deal with a situation, and when they finally pull the plug and they have that very difficult conversation and they say, I'm really sorry, I've let this go, I'm not going to let this go anymore, this is the new order, this is how we're going to do things, and this is what I require from you. And there are no ifs or buts, but this is how it has to be done in order to make sure that the rest of the team is safe. Everybody's going to be treated the same. This is where we're going. And they have a variety of reactions to making that call and standing into their own power. And sometimes people go, okay, fair cop, and they just go along with it. And other people go, no, I don't like this. And then they usually use their own 2 feet and they leave the organisation because they recognise that this is no longer a place that they feel comfortable. And that's good, because you don't want somebody in your workplace that's not going to be a team player, that's not going to respect the majority rule. Like, a team is really important that everybody is treated fairly and equally. You can't have a team where there's favouritism. I often say to employers, do you want a team where you've got somebody who's highly skilled and would be treated as best on ground any day in any sporting sense, or the best performer ever, Or do you want a team that could win a grand final? Because I want the team that's going to win the grand final. I want the team to work together to achieve great outcomes. I don't want one superstar in my team and everybody else is just struggling to deal with the ego of the superstar. I don't want that. I want the team to win a grand final. So in order for that to happen, then the leader has to be the one that leads them to the grand final. They don't have to know all the answers. You don't have, being powerful doesn't mean being right. It doesn't mean knowing all the answers. It means leading and being in charge and making sure that the rest of the team feels safe. I was thinking about this the other day, is that when people come and complain to you as the leader, when they come and yell at you or they come and cry in your office or whatever, when people are coming and telling you there's a problem, apart from the fact that you need to tell them to try and sort it out themselves in the first instance, but the reason they come to you is because they want you to be like a police officer. They want you to be that safe person they can go to when there's a problem. People love the police when there's a problem. Oh, there's a problem, let's call the police. The police will sort it out because the police know what the rules are. The police know what the rules are and they're going to apply the rules fairly because that's what you do when there's law and order. And that's what you want in your workplace. You want your team to know that they can go to you and there's going to be fairness and there's going to be a systematic approach to the way in which you deal with everything because you know what you stand for, you know what you believe and you know where you're going. Now this doesn't mean that you won't feel times of absolute doubt. There's absolutely no chance of you being free of doubt completely. We are all going to feel that. But the more you become assertive, the more you know yourself and the more that your staff can rely on you to react a certain way and to give them guidance and to be like the police in a loving, caring, supportive manner, the more you're going to be able to trust yourself and to take greater risks. And so then you'll be able to do more and more exciting things with your team because you know that they've got your back and you know that you've got their back. So I hope that that's really helpful. I am creating a standalone course called How to Deal with Conflict in the Workplace, which is going to go through all the different personality types, which might be of some interest to you. So that will be released in the next couple of weeks. And I now have a podcast, and I hope that that's going live as of Thursday next week. We've just got a little bit of tinkering to do, but of Thursday next week. So I'm not sure what date that would be. Today's the 8th. I'm not good on maths. But anyway, so it's I think it might be the 17th or 18th. So that's coming soon too. So in the podcast, I'm going to be talking to people from all walks of life, talking about how does conflict present in your workplace. And I'm not necessarily talking about the dynamics of the workforce. I'm talking about the problems that the organisations, the businesses run to help solve problems. And try and get some understanding about the stresses that are in various industries and make sure that we're looking after each other a little bit better because we understand how the world works. So that's it for me today. I hope you have a wonderful week and I look forward to seeing you again next Monday. Cheers. Bye.